Creek. That creek. Go ahead and say goodbye. She's right underneath it.
Did you see that?
He's like, I know they went through here somewhere. That big old spot. I believe he's, I don't know. He's got red eyes.
That was crazy. Like, he came running through it, and then it came up to the surface when I set the hook, and I just let it drop.
Oh, I saw him come up underneath.
Oh yeah, he came up underneath it, but then I let it drop, and that's when he got it. That was wild right there.
Hey guys, so here we are on Watauga Lake for the final event of the regular season for the Tennessee Christian Bass Anglers. We managed to sneak out here on Watauga Lake on a Tuesday afternoon for a little bit of practice before the tournament on Saturday. And that was a big deal for us because Watauga Lake is just in a very different state right now with the amount of stain that's in that water all the way through. Now, there are some of the upper ends of these creek arms that are starting to clear up, but there's still just a lot of stain in that water from the remnants of Hurricane Helene that worked its way through the area. So it's just kind of getting used to it. It's just not the norm that you see all the time with that lake typically being clear. But what we did here on practice was the focus was finding areas with bait, finding areas with some active fish. I like to use a rig as a search bait in the fall. Fish are keyed in on bait balls. They're feeding up for the winter time. And you're going to see us here. We catch a couple dropping, but the main focus was slow rolling that A-rig around laydowns that were on clay and river rock banks. And it really gave us some confidence going into the tournament day that you're going to see here in a little bit, that this was going to kind of be our focus and our approach for that whole time. We were going to stick to the bank. They're staying in the water. That good color is going to help those fish move up a little bit shallower, stay up there shallower. And you're also going to see here in a little bit the conditions that we had really made the shallow bite prime for Saturday.
How is he not getting them teeth on?
I know.
Oh! Quick. Sucker.
Now I want to go ahead and apologize for just the audio here, the audio quality going throughout the rest of this video. There was a lot of wind here, as you can see on tournament day, which that played into our advantage. We made sure that we really played the wind as our friend. In the fall, it's going to help position those fish because it's positioning the bait fish. So we focused on the windy side of the lake as we were fishing all day, and we started out here in the first third of Roans Creek, and our focus was river rock transitions and clay. That was where we had found the most life when we were up there in practice, so we really just took a very long stretch of the same area where we were getting bit in practice and focused in there. We actually made several passes in these areas. I started out throwing the A-rig, but I got hung up multiple times very quickly, got frustrated, put the A-rig down. Dad caught one on a red crankbait, so I went ahead and tied on a rock crawler in that red bug color, and we started getting bite after bite after bite going down this section. And anytime you came to these little transitions where there was a little bit of river rock and there were some trees, we were getting bites. Now, Dad gets bit here on that lipless crankbait, and the fish, it seemed like a really good one just from what we could hear. You know how it is when you've got all this gear on and it's raining and stuff. You're trying to see and you're trying to throw things out of the way so you can get a visual on where that fish is at. But it sounded like a good one, looked and felt like a good one to him. But when he went to make that switch in direction to bring it to the net, it popped off. I should have been back there at the back of the boat so he could have just kept it coming in the same direction to me instead of having to switch directions. But one thing about cranking in this area with all these trees that were also around this river rock is you really had to finesse that crankbait. And when it comes to this mid-depth cranking, I like a 7/6 rod with a medium action, medium fast tip. And that really helps me out when it comes to working it and finessing it through those trees. You're going to feel it kind of start to load up as it's coming over a branch, and you want to slow down, give that bait a chance to kind of float back and float up just a little bit before you continue your retrieve. And as it would come off some of these limbs like this one right here, they would crush it. And we still even had some that as soon as you popped it off of a tree, if you did get hung up a little bit, that they would eat. But again, when it comes to the shallow water cranking, especially in the fall, that wind is your friend. It's going to position that bait. It's going to position those fish in those areas. But the medium fast action on that rod is important because it allows those fish to get the bait, allows them to inhale it a little bit better. Plus, as you're fighting these fish in and they're wild, they're running all over the place, they're jumping, they're digging, it's going to allow you to play those fish out better. A lot of these fish were striking right at the boat too, so I was sitting there ready to, with the thumb bar, to give them some line and feed it to them a little bit when they would catch me off guard right there at the boat. But the crankbait was definitely the big player. Now here in just a second, once we work on around this point, we're going to work into a pocket where the wind was blowing in, and we had a limit at this point, so we kind of had that freedom to kind of start exploring a little bit more. And we work into the back of this pocket, and as we're almost finished up, I look and there's just one isolated stick up back here, and that's prime in the fall. You have an isolated piece of cover. I pick up that A-rig so I can kind of fish it suspended by it and run it up in the water column, and as I'm coming by, she absolutely drills it. And this ends up, I would have thought that it would have been a largemouth back here in this pocket around some timber, but it turned out to be big smallmouth, or big bass overall, and it was a big smallmouth at 474. That was just a huge boost to morale. Again, we were already having a great day, but that extra kicker there after Dad lost a good one earlier today was a huge help. So that's the thing. When you're on a pattern, you're on a solid bite like that, especially if you've got a limit, don't be afraid to just kind of branch out and just fish what feels right. As we were working back in there and I saw that stick up in the back, you know, it just looked fishy. It wasn't part of our pattern. Everything that we've been doing is what you see me doing here right now. Main lake, main little points, some river rock, maybe some riprap, and just working these crankbaits through these areas was getting us bites. But that looked fishy, and that just set up and played out like it should have, with the bait getting blown back there and an isolated piece of cover like that. But again, you can't beat a good crankbait in the fall, a good crankbait bite in the fall, I should say. And the cold front that rolled through for us here, I think really ignited these fish. It dropped the water temperature down a couple degrees, 2 or 3 degrees from what it was on Tuesday. We'd been looking at the low 60s. When we got out here on the water on Saturday after that front came through, we were looking at 58. And that was a big deal. So these cold fronts can be just a huge pop to that bite, especially with smallmouth. They love nasty weather. You got you some wind, don't be afraid to get out there. Now again, yes, if it was gusting 40, 50 miles an hour and stuff, and it was just white capping everywhere and dangerous, I wouldn't be out there. But in this case, that wind, yes, it was cold. We were getting, our hands were wet. We were chilled to the bone early there in the morning, but these kinds of bites that you get the opportunity to have, they'll keep you warm. But again, that was our pattern for the day that we rode out through the rest of the day. Small river rock transitions with some clay mixed in and some laydowns, and really working those crankbaits through those areas, finessing them through those treetops, and that allowed us to catch. On the day, I think we had somewhere around 22 catches, several keepers. We got to cull several times and work our way up to, I believe it'll show you here at the end, 1643, I believe, or 1649 was our overall weight for the day. Put us in third place. Mark Rice and Steve Legg had almost 17 with the win, and then Cody Snyder and Nick Wishon were in second place there with I think they were 7/100ths of a pound higher than us. But overall, guys, it was an awesome day of fishing for the whole club. We had 12 teams out there. Everybody had a limit. Everybody had double-digit weights. I think our average weight for the day for those teams was 14 pounds, or just a little over 14 pounds. So again, fall bass fishing, especially here in East Tennessee, a crankbait on a windy day, you can't beat it. And like the title says, you know, when when cold fronts, when smallmouth and crankbaits all collide, you're going to get out there and you're going to have yourself a lot of fun. Well, guys, I hope to put together some more videos for you throughout the wintertime. It's getting into some of my favorite fishing of the entire year as we go here. We got, like I said, one more tournament coming up on South Holston. That's going to be the club's classic, where we determine our angler of the year. This was our regular season finale, and congratulations to Josh Olinger and Ryan Pope on being your 2024 TNCBA Team of the Year, guys.
Another good spot. Well, he's not really a spot.